Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Yes, I'm so glad you made it, baby, because some people ain't making it. Beach. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Listen, welcome to another episode of the Most Important Person Podcast, the M.I.P podcast. I'm Monroe Alise. And listen, baby, this is the safest room to be in. Oh, yes. Baby, this is the safest room to be in simply because there's no negativity in here. No. Listen, baby, all we got in here is some motivation, some inspiration, and some encouragement. Listen, we just trying to grow. I'm just me. Let me just talk about me. I'm just trying to grow, baby. Listen, I'm going to laugh. We going to cry. We going to share some fears. We going to have all those types of things going on in here. But most importantly, listen, we going to do all of that together. Oh, yes, baby. We going to do that together. Listen. Happy LGBTQ Awareness Month. Baby, it's October already. Now, I know that there are a lot of different awarenesses going on in the month of October. And so I want to run down that list just to make sure that we are all aware. But I'm only going to give, for me, my lived experience on two, okay? So, October represents Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Health Literacy Month, Global Diversity Awareness Month, LGBTQ History Month, Cybersecurity Awareness Month, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, Eye Injury Prevention Month, Facial Pain Awareness Month, Liver Cancer Awareness Month. Okay, now that's a lot of awareness for the month of October. Now, I don't have a lived experience in all of those things. However, I do have a lived experience in two of those categories, right? And one of those being the LGBTQIA History Awareness Month, right? And so I want to pay homage to all of the people who identify in the LGBTQIA umbrella, baby, because it's a spectrum, right? So shout out to you. Listen, I love you. Listen, if ain't nobody told you they love you today, bitch, I love you. Okay? Listen, if ain't nobody told you today you are enough, I'm here to tell you, listen, you are enough. You're worthy. You're loved. Okay? Baby, I love you. And so with that being said, so for this month, this special, kicking it off, I'm going to tell my story. Oh, yes. Baby, listen, I'm going to tell my story. I'm going to tell how I got to this point. I'm talking about from a young gal all the way up into transition, okay? Listen, I know that ain't make sense, but flow ball me. We gonna run on and see what the end gonna be. I'm gonna talk about coming out day and what my feelings about that, so just stick around for a second. So the person that I want to acknowledge for LGBTQ Awareness Month is Miss Georgia Black. Miss Georgia Black was featured in Ebony magazine in 1951. Now, you can do the research and check that magazine out if you'd like. Now, of course, I want to do a trigger warning. They misgendered her throughout that whole article, but I want to pay homage to her now. So, Georgia Black was born in 1908. She was born into slavery, and she escaped from South Carolina when she was 16 years old. She went to Florida where she met a young man who helped her transition and work in the house that he was working and tending to at that time. There in Florida, Miss Georgia Black married her husband. Her husband passed away. She remarried, took care of their son, and in Florida, she lived a stealth life for over 30 years. It wasn't until later in her elder years when she went to the physician and the physician discovered her genitalia, and at that time she called it a skin growth. And so she was the mother of the church. She was a pillar in her community, and no one knew her sexual identity. And so, Miss Georgia Black, I pay homage to you for LGBT Awareness Month. Okay. So, child, I'm going to tell y'all how it happened for me. Now, listen, this is just my story. I'm just talking about my experience, my lived experience, right? Okay, so I believe you all, if you haven't watched the first episode, please make sure you check out the first episode. And also, again, make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment, send it to a friend, do all of those things, okay? So I talked about how people pleased in the wrong body for 29 years. And so I want to share with you all how I came out. Like I don't believe in coming out. Let me just say that. I believe October the 8th or October the 9th is National Coming Out Day. And kudos to the people who subscribe to National Coming Out Day. I believe as a black trans woman, as a person, me personally, I don't believe that nobody needs a coming out story. I believe you love who you like who you like, and it is what it is. Now, if you have a coming out story or a story of where you had to tell everybody who you were and all of those things, then great, celebrate it. It is what it is. Now, for me, listen, now, I have an older brother and a younger brother, and my mom and dad, who are still, happily married. So at the time, they were always asking, like, who you like, all of those things. And I had girlfriends. Now, listen, I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I had brought some girls home. Now, I fell in love with all the girls that could sing. Either they could sing, or they could cook and sing, or they had money. Did I ever tell y'all about the time when I was with that girl when I was 16 years old, who her father had all his coins and stuff, and then she had liked me, and I had decided to go with her because she had bought me my first cell phone? Okay, well, I'll tell y'all that story another day. But anyway, back to the story. So, child, I never said, oh, I like boys or any of those things, right? It was a very secretive. Lifestyle for fear of being put out, for fear of being kicked out or abandoned, all of those things, right? So I never really said it. I just always kept my business to my business, and I believe I even referenced that once or twice to my parents. Like I like who I like, my business, my business. I don't like nobody. I ain't having sex until this day. I ain't having sex. I just want to be clear. I'm still a virgin. Anyway, I digress. And so I remember I didn't say or inference or suggest that I liked boys when I was living in the male experience until the day I was moving out of my parents' home. My mother and father were sitting on the couch. And I literally came in that day and was like, yeah, I signed my lease, I'm moving out. They thought I was lying, child. I had the keys in my hand. I was moving to my apartment. And I had my best friend, I had called her at the time, and I was like, yeah, girl, come and help me move my stuff, woo woo woo. So they were sitting on the couch, and so when she had called me when she got outside, I was like, hey, boo, you outside? Okay, I'm going to be on my way. And my father was like, who is that? And I was like, my lover. And he was like, all right. He said, all right, he could come in, but I'm going to stay right here until that motherfucker leave too. And that was literally what ushered in that I like guys or whatever, right? And also, I remember one of the conversations we were having so my best friend comes in and they see that it's her and they're like, oh, okay, how you funny, or whatever, right? And so then, of course, the whole questions of whether you pitching or catching, i.e. top or bottom. But anyway, I digress. And so that was literally it. I never really brought guys home and introduced them as my boyfriends. Like, there were guys that came to the family reunion and the picnics and, all of those things. Now, in the words of my good girlfriend, Megan Thee Stallion, I didn't say that was my man. That ain't my man, but that's my man, though. So watch your hands, though. You know what I'm saying? He was out eating and frying fish and doing all of the things with the guys and stuff, but that was my homie. You know what I'm saying? And so that was really it. That was what then freed me up enough being on my own to really have my own gender expression. At that time, I started playing with makeup. At that time, my clothes that got tighter. The lips that got glossier. You know what I'm saying? I've always had these gestures. That's one of the things that anybody that has known me before my transition will tell you is that nothing really has changed but the outer appearance. Like, all of the gestures, the mannerisms, all of those things are still the same. Now, in reference to my transition, child, I ain't finna bother to told y'all. Okay. Now, I have been pursuing the entertainment industry for a very long time. Like, since I was 17, 16, I've always done choir and, music and singing and things like that in the church house and stuff. But, I really didn't start pursuing the entertainment industry until 17, 18. I'm about to date myself a little bit. I was catching the train to New York to get the backstage paper to like circle auditions and stuff to like do that. Like I went to 106 in Park and Rip the Runway and all those things. But anyway, so I ended up landing a role as a transgender woman in a play called, well, the play was called at that time, I believe, The Fall of the House of Snow or something like that. And it was based on a house based in Virginia. And I got casted as the trans character. And so once I got casted, now at that time I had been experimenting with makeup and gender expression. And I would be what people now identify as gender nonconforming or gender fluid. And I had to come to rehearsals as my character. So, child, my father had left. I was staying with my parents at the time. My father had left, and my mom was in the house, and she was downstairs. And I was like, Mom, I need to borrow your skirt. And she was like, what? And I was like, I need to borrow like some of your clothes for the, to go to rehearsal. She was like, oh, okay, they over there on the thing. She ain't really blink or bat an eye. She was on the phone. Now, what she said to the person on the phone when I walked upstairs, I'm going to ask her eventually. But I went upstairs and I had did my makeup and I had came down and I was trying to get out the house before my father got home. Child, so I had put that little jean skirt on and I think I had a polo shirt on at the time and like some like little slides or something. I don't know. Because I didn't have any, female identifying clothes. And so I'm walking down the stairs, running out the house, and my father comes in the house. Child, the look on his face was priceless. So I immediately was like, listen, this is for a role. We're gonna make lots of money. Don't you worry about it. Like I'm about to be famous. This is for a role. So he still flabbergasted. I walk past him and leave, and I show up for the table reads and stuff. And then she said that we need to show up every time in our character. And so I went to the store. I went to Ashley Stewart on the sales rack. My homegirl took me, and I bought some jeans and some shirts and was trying stuff on. And when I tell you, I literally put those clothes on, and I never took them off. Now, I would be lying to you if I said immediately, wow, with those clothes on, I was brave enough to say that I was a woman of the trans experience. I would be lying because I then allowed people to identify me as they felt comfortable, whether it was she, whether it was he, whatever. So it wasn't until I would say a couple of months later when I decided to socially change, when I made the brave decision to say, my name is Monroe Alise. Now, child, I'm going to tell y'all how I got that name. So, for this segment of That's a Chew, I'm going to tell y'all how I got the name Monroe Alise. Stick around. Okay, and we're back. Now, you can see for this segment of That's a Chew, I ain't chewing on nothing. Because I tried to find here in the DMV a black-owned LGBTQ restaurant or some type of dessert business, brick and mortar, and I could not find any. Now, that's not to say that there aren't any black-owned LGBTQ restaurants and or businesses, but I couldn't find one that I could literally sit here and tell you this story. Now, what I will say is that there are a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs who I'm last minute. Okay, so I was trying to go in and just go ahead and grab the items, and a lot of them aren't brick and mortar, and that's why visibility and representation is so important because I couldn't drive down the street and just find a black-owned LGBTQ business or a queer business. And so, with that being said, I wish, hope, and encourage that if you are black, if you are queer, or identify under the LGBTQIA community, that you pursue your passion dreams and open that brick and mortar store because we need you. My palate needs you. I know all y'all burning and making those mean cakes and pies and sweets and treats. I know all y'all over there burning on the stove and making sweet potatoes and candy yams and macaroni and cheese, collard greens and pig's feet, hog mogs and chicken and all of the things. I need to be able to walk into the store and order those things, right? And I wasn't. So with that being said, I'm just going to go on and tell y'all how I came up with the name Monroe Alise, right? So it's without mention, I guess, Monroe, who some of you may know is Marilyn Monroe and or Norma Jean. I always idolized that woman, right? For her to turn her childhood pain, her trauma, move away, revamp herself, and become a superstar has always been attractive to me. It was like Beyonce and Sasha Fierce. You understand what I'm saying? It was like to see her move away and be so sexy and so just so all of the things and not even trying. I always knew that if I was to ever change my name, like in my former life, one of my street names was Marco Monroe. So you might see some stuff. Listen, you probably know, but anyway. So that's how I came up with the name Monroe. Now, the name Alise, I did not know what I was going to like name myself for my middle name. I knew that I wanted it to be an A because I wanted to keep my born initials M.A.P. And so I wanted to do an A name so bad, and I was like Amir, Asai, Asia. I was coming up with all these A names. I probably even tried Shanti, Shinka, Shay. Child, I probably tried because I wanted something that had a little ring to it. You know, a little zhuzh, a little je ne sais quoi. You know, a little something. I mean, you know, give the girls what they was looking for, right? When you say my name, say my name. And I could not think of nothing for the life of me. It wasn't until I was getting my breasts done, right? I got my breasts done in 2018. My godfather came to the hospital and picked me up from the hospital, right? And he had to use my dead name to come and get me. And my godfather is so New York. Like, let me just say, my godfather his name is Kenny. And Kenny is so New York. Like, he, you know, I don't even know if he's from the Bronx or whatever, but he's so hard. Like, everything he say, he's a hetero man, like, and it's so hardcore, you know what I'm saying? But it's full of love. And so he came and picked me up from the hospital, and we in the car. And he was like, yo, you gotta change that fucking name. Like that name, like you too cute to be walking around with that fucking name. Like, what you gonna change your name to? And I was like, well, I'm definitely gonna do Monroe. And he like, okay, Monroe is good. Yeah, I like Monroe. Yeah, that's fitting. You know what I'm saying? You sexy, you pretty, you brilliant, just like Monroe. That's good. What's your middle name gonna be? And I was like, I was thinking like Monroe Amir or Amira. I don't know. And he was like, that shit is horrible. He was like, that's fucking horrible. What the fuck is in Amira? What the fuck is in Ashanti? He was like, no, I don't like that shit. He said, you need to be like, Monroe Alise or something like that. I said, well, damn, there we go. That's it. And he was like, yeah, that's it. Monroe Alise. I like that. And so from that day forward, my name was Monroe Alise. And so my godfather, Kenny, love you. Kenny, I love you to pieces. He gave me my middle name. And so my name is Monroe Alise. Well, we have come to the end of this amazing episode of the M.I.P podcast. Listen, I'm so glad you made it. Listen, again, please like, share, and subscribe. I want you to remember that you are the most important person in your life. Listen, if you don't do it, it will not get done. Listen, I treat me better. I treat you better. Listen, until we meet next time, I'll see you soon.